In this video, we will explore the depths of Hasselhoff's life, from his beginnings as an actor to his fight against alcoholism and the scandals that led him to oblivion. Death Cube removes. How did he achieve world fame with the fantastic car and bug watch? The personal demons that tormented him during his heyday. The hard battle against addiction that cost him almost everything. His fall into misfortune and the path to redemption. Get ready for a raw and real story, full of ups and downs that will make you rethink your image of this icon of pop culture. Success, alcoholism, and oblivion. The hard life of David Hasselhoff, the actor of the fantastic car and bug watch. He generated a revolution in the 80s thanks to his incredible television characters. Then he dedicated himself to music, and one of his songs had a great influence on the fall of the Berlin Wall. At 69, he seeks to recover a place that Hollywood seems not to want to give him. David Hasselhoff entered Hollywood like a trumpet. He starred in two of the most remembered television shows in history, and then disappeared. However, before vanishing, he went through a process that dragged him slowly to the margin of the world of the show. This included a couple of resounding successes, a musical career that only triumphed abroad, a series of roles that were not as glorious as the first, and finally, a severe problem of addiction that ended up burying his career. While it is remembered by many, for others it is completely unknown. Understanding the phenomenon that Hasselhoff meant is not easy at all. The man became the official face of a decade, and for a whole generation. His name is synonymous with whole afternoons in front of the television to watch his hero fight villains. But how can it be that such a legendary celebrity has lost relevance from one day to the next? Perhaps the answer is that he never took himself very seriously. Or perhaps it was quite the opposite, but he did not realize that slowly he became a parody. It is also possible that he, who built a giant and multi-million-dollar brand around his face and his characters, does not care too much if his relevance remains intact today. Because the reality is that you only need to enter his Instagram profile to discover that at 69 years old, Hasselhoff is in his best moment, at least in terms of his personal life. Before talking about the present, it is necessary to know where it all began. His great debut was with the interpretation of Michael Knight in the acclaimed series Knight Reader, better known in Latin America as The Fantastic Car. The story follows the life of a police officer who receives a shot in the face and is rescued by a multi-millionaire scientist. After defeating death, he changes his identity and is ready to fight crime with the help of Keith, a futuristic and almost indestructible car. It is not necessary to clarify that the saga, released in 1982, was a success and that Hasselhoff became the idol of millions of children around the world. But with his height of 1.90 meters, a perfectly shaven hump and a smile of bright teeth, it was a matter of time before he left aside his role as a hero and moved on to occupy the well-deserved place of sex symbol. After the hit that meant The Fantastic Car, it was his turn, Bagwatch, the series that became an indisputable classic. The historic show set fire to the popular culture that all lifeguards have the obligation to run in slow motion over the sand in the most sensual way possible and caused Hasselhoff, who gave life to the brave Mitch Buchanan, to break the Guinness record for the most seen man on television. The Guardians of the Bay, a name that became popular among the Spanish-speaking audience, was tuned by more than 1 billion people throughout 140 countries. That incredible achievement was the result of the protagonist's sharp business eye. The story behind it is that the producers decided to put the program on hold after barely a season, but it was David who blindly trusted the commercial potential of the show and, after important investment made from his own capital, managed to get it back on the air in 1991 to 3 years later, until its end in 2001. In addition, it is to be said that it was one of the best investments of his life. The 80s and 90s did not stop smiling at him. At the same time that he triumphed on the screen, he did the same on stage. David, in addition to being an actor, is also a musician, and in those years, he called on crowds who shouted his songs while he moved around the boards in his tight pants and the attitude of a rock star. Like no one is a prophet on his land, he was not very celebrated by his compatriots, but he was received with open arms in Europe, especially in Germany, where the Berlin division was still more than firm, and his song Looking for Freedom became a hymn of freedom. The song represented the Western culture that the citizens of the communist side of the city longed for so much and their verses accompanied the fall of the first bricks of the hated wall. Even Hasselhoff himself gave a live show on December 31st, 1989 in Berlin, to celebrate the historic fall. He shone more and more strongly, but with the change of century, something broke and could never be repaired. The show industry is treacherous and did not hesitate to turn its back on the man who gave it so much. After the end of Watch, Hasselhoff could never return to his acting career, and his roles were reduced to playing himself or parodies of what once was. Thus, those who loved him stopped seeing him in the cinema. For those who were not old enough to know him by his times of splendor, the legendary icon was no one. In the midst of a professional downfall, his problem of addictions and multiple failed marriages played against him. His worst moment came in 2007, when one of his daughters decided to record on video one of his alcoholic episodes, so that he could remember how bad he looked. Sadly, good intentions could not prevent someone from leaking the recording to the press. At that moment, he was in the middle of a divorce, and the clip caused the judge in charge not to let his daughter see it. After that, nothing was the same, and the golden days of David Hasselhoff were left alone as part of collective memory. However, playing background helped him get up, and although he never regained the status of an actor he had before, he was able to rebuild his life. His gradual disappearance on the screen and the increasingly bizarre roles were not enough to stop him. He continues as if nothing had happened, with his tan and his smile intact. After all, as he stated in an interview given in 2010, life is not about falling but how fast you get up. Some anecdotes of his life. One day, while working in a restaurant, he was discovered by a casting manager who gave him some tests. Thanks to this, he got his first roles in the series, The Love Boat and Police Story. In 2000, he made his debut on Broadway in the musical Jekyll and Hyde. In 2010, he was a special guest on RAVW, where he made A Fight of Divas, with Banador Rojo and Santino Marel as a referee. As for his private life, and after several frustrated relationships, David married actress Pamela Bach and had 2 daughters, Tyler and Hallie Amber. In 2006, the couple divorced, and he eventually stayed with the custody of his 2 girls. He founded the charitable organization RAVW, Carrera por la Vida, which raises money for sick children in the Hasselhoff Club to help children with cancer. He has more than 14 albums, the last being a cover album, Open Your Eyes, 2019. So far, our story today. Thank you very much for watching.